Are the days of the $289 iPad finally gone? If not gone, they're limited. What's the difference between the 9th generation and the new 10th generation? A lot more money, iPads? Let's get into it. All right, welcome back to the channel. And so what I want to do today is I want to talk about these key differences between the 9th generation iPad and the newest one that just came out with 4 different colors. I'll show you a couple little pictures of them right here. This is the new iPad. It's kind of the new base iPad, and it starts at $449. So there's quite a big difference there between the costs, and that's what we want to talk about. So in this video, what I'm going to talk about is a little bit about the pricing, first of all, and then I'm going to give you key comparisons, what's exactly similar on both devices and what's exactly different. I'm going to give you a list of all the differences so you can see them up close, and just one by one you can kind of make your decision. So should you pick up the 9th generation or the 10th generation, Apple's still selling both for a limited time, and I'll get into the costs of both, and then also these differences and stuff, and also the similarities. So without further ado, let's get into the video. iPad 9th and 10th generation. All right, the first thing I want to talk about is price really quickly. So on Apple's website, they're still selling both. You can get the iPad, basically the 10th generation now for $449, so the price went up considerably. And it says you can get still the 9th generation for $329, but I'm going to show you a picture really quickly over here of Micro Center. They're selling it for $289.99. That's my $289 intro, but you can even find it for cheaper sometimes. So what's right for you? Should you spend the $449 or should you spend the $289 right now? Is the 9th and the 10th generation, which is going to be better for you, I guess? We can kind of guess that, but which is enough for you? So I'm going to show you a screenshot of exactly the similarities of everything they both share, and then I'm going to show you a side-by-side comparison of exactly what's the difference. And then you guys can make the decision, and I'll follow it up at the end of the video. But I think this is going to make it very, very clear for everybody which one should they pick up, and is it worth that extra, sometimes $140 or whatever it's going to cost. I know the other one will go on sale maybe eventually, but right now it's going to probably be at that $449. All right, really quickly, I'm going to share my screen over here. Let's look at what both of these things share, the similarities. You can see over here, they both have Touch ID. They both have a Retina display, and that's going to be the same PPI, but it's going to be, the 10th generation is just slightly bigger, and it has more pixels, but it's the same PPI, which Apple usually does. Now, Apple Silicon chip with the 6-core CPU. It's got 2 performance cores and 4 efficiency cores, but the actual chip is different, but they actually do share the number of performance and efficiency cores there. They both have digital zoom up to 5 times, 3 times video zoom, slow motion at 720p and at 120 FPS. And you can see here the other things that they share. They both have a 12 megapixel ultra-wide front-facing camera with a, well, actually the aperture is a little bit different. I'll get into that in a second. I believe maybe the front is the same. It's 2.4 there with the zoom out. They both have center stage, Retina, extended dynamic range for videos up to 30 frames per second, video stabilization, and then 1080p HD video recording up to 60 FPS, all right? They both have 2-speaker audio. They both share about 10 hours of battery life, so it's very similar there as well. And then they have both, different options, 64 gigs and 256, so you can pick which one's right for you. And then basically they have both support for 1st generation Apple Pencil. So this is similarities. Now this may not mean a lot to you. It's going to be the differences that mean the most. So let's get into the differences, which is going to be a lot more important. All right, let's talk about the key differences now. So if we look at my screen here, the 9th generation is on the left, the 10th generation, the newest one's on the right. So obviously the 9th generation has the old design dating all the way back to 2013. The 10th generation has the new iPad design with flat sides. It kind of came out, about 2018, that kind of look and stuff, so that's a little bit newer look. Now the iPad, the 9th generation is 7.5 millimeters thick. They squeezed it into 7 millimeters thick on the newest one, so it's a little bit thinner as far as the thickness. The weight obviously went down a little bit as well, but barely. It's 487 on the 9th gen and 477 grams on the 10th gen, so it's a super tiny lighter. Now, if you want to get different colors, you have some choices here. So the 9th generation only comes in space gray and basically gray or silver. And then the newest one, the 10th generation, does come in 4 colors, silver, pink, blue, and yellow. Both have a Touch ID home button. One is on the top though. On the newest one, it's just better. I'll get into that in a second, but it's basically just a different placement of the button. And then if we look at the Retina displays, you can see here, one's 10.5 inches and one's 10.9. The newest one is 10.9, and it has a little bit better resolution, but it really equals the same PPI like I explained earlier, so that's not a big difference. The 9th generation has the A13 Bionic chip. The 10th generation has the A14th Bionic chip that came out in 2020. So there's a little bit of change there. It gets a little bit faster. The 9th gen has an 8-core neural engine, and it's got a double 16-core neural engine on the 10th gen. So that's kind of a bigger difference. One has 3 gigabytes of RAM, the 9th gen, and then it goes up 1 gig. Apple gave us 1 more gig on the 10th gen to 4 gigs of RAM, which is not a big difference, but I guess it's going to help. Now the rear camera is a big difference. 8 megapixel rear wide camera on the 9th gen. It's got a 12 megapixel, but it's got a different aperture if you can notice it there. So it's got a 2.4 aperture on the old one and a 1.8 on the newest. It gives more light. But I don't want to be the person taking photos on an iPad. I mean, I don't know if you want to be. Anyways, if you take movies or something, maybe, but I don't think it's a good idea. Now HDR for photos is on the 9th gen. And Smart HDR 3 for photos is on the other one, so it's a little bit newer HDR. 1080p HD video recording at 30 frames per second. The newest one, though, has 4K video recording at up to 60 frames per second, so there's a difference there. Now, in the front-facing camera, it looks like there's a 12-megapixel portrait wide camera, and it's basically the same. That's what I was talking about earlier. The front-facing camera is the same, but they actually put the front-facing camera at a different angle, so when you tilt it, it'll be on top. So if you can actually film yourself or film something in landscape and have the camera at the top and it won't be at the side. That's kind of a key difference between the two as well. They both have 2 speakers, but one is in landscape 2-speaker mode, which is the newest one, so it gives you a little bit more range if you do go into landscape like that, like I just mentioned. Now the old one, the 9th gen, has the lightning port. I don't know why they still have that. And the newest one finally went to USB-C, which is a huge change, thank God. So that's a big change if you like that. Bluetooth is 4.2 on the 9th gen, and on the 10th gen it's 5.2, change there. And then you can see the Wi-Fi here. I'm not going to get too much into that, but basically overall the speeds go from 886 megabytes per second to 1.2 gigabits per second. And you know, whether you're going to notice that, I don't think so. 4G LTE on the 9th gen, and then over here we have 5G all cellular mode, so it's a little bit, kind of could be a big difference with that, I guess. Now the smart keyboard again is compatible on the 9th gen, and they changed the keyboard now. It's only, you know, this Magic Keyboard, you'll see it, I'll show you a picture. It's basically only compatible with the 10th gen. I don't know why they did that. They didn't make it reverse compatible, trying to get you to upgrade, but it's called the Magic Keyboard Folio support. The other one's called the Smart Keyboard, so there's a difference there. The smart keyboards for the 9th gen. And then obviously the cost, and you can see it's 120 bucks on paper or 100 and whatever, but you can usually get that to like 140, 150 if you find it. So, all right, at the end of the day, those are the main differences, and I just want to wrap the video up. It's been a long video. You have to make the decision which is best for you. You have to know, what are you looking for? I guess the one thing I actually do want to mention too is the support. So, or the updating the OS. So the updating the OS is going to obviously be a number of maybe 1 or 2 years more on the newer device than the older device. So if you do buy the newest device, even for that extra money, you're going to get more security updates and get more upgrades to the newest OS because Apple will support it longer. I don't want to forget that as well. That's a key thing. So overall, these are the differences. You let me know. Is there any other ones I missed? And also, at the end of the day, does it really matter? I'd rather save the money. I have one sitting here. This is the old one, obviously. You can see it here. And it works perfectly fine for me. I love it. And I guess one day I'll probably upgrade as soon as this thing breaks, but that could be a couple years from now or the support goes away. So you let me know in the comments. Is it worth it? Is it not worth it? We'll talk to everybody soon. Peace.